Sadly, very few clues exist now to the old iron industry here, considering this was the last of the great Sussex iron forges. But here we have Old Forge Cottage, because I am now excuse me, I am now at the site of Ashburnham Forge. The last forge of the Sussex iron industry, the fire of which was put out permanently in 1813, having been revived in the 16th century. And I guess the trouble is, these are now private properties. I can't just go wandering willy-nilly where I like, but I'm wondering now, I mean, I would say that those gates and pillars were Ashburnham forged. Firebacks is one thing you can look out for. Ashburnham made many of them, and if you're looking for the clue, the sign of Ashburnham is a crown with an A underneath it, and it was fed by, I think this is Gifford's Gill, just down the road here. Obviously I don't want to wander around too much talking at this time of day, but we need to wonder, perhaps that was part of the forge at one time. But anyway, the gill would have had sufficient force at the time to power the bellows to make the iron products. But as you look along there, we're looking up towards where Ashburnham furnace was, and that is where they smelted the iron to make their bloomers or whatever it was, and then they would come down here to be made into the iron products, railings, firebacks, that kind of thing. There's 3 of them in the manor at Penhurst. And cannon were made here up until about the 1750s too. See, when the Romans came, as I've spoken of before, there was a certain amount of iron smelting going on, and there were bloomeries in various places, but that kind of died out. But it was revived again in the 15th and 16th centuries, and some really big furnaces were established in the Sussex area. This was one of the biggest, and as I say, was the last one that was shut here at Ashburnham. Of course, I've spoken before the fact that the forests were denuded. I mean, there was really thick forest in this area. I'm listening to running water, but I can't see anywhere to get through to look for it. Yeah, the building of the boats by the kings took a lot of the forest away, and hence the locals started wrecking ships to get the timber back. But I think now I've had a chance to study history again. Yes, it's up there. You can hear the water, can't you? So there was some force coming down there. Yes, as I say, having had a chance to look at things again, I think, to be quite honest, particularly after we started getting more ironclad ships, the biggest denuder of the forest in many ways in Sussex was the iron industry. And you might look at your television screen now, or your computer screen, and you might say, what lovely woodland. And it's true to say, look, there has been some replanting. If you look through there, this is being reforested. But there was so much forest here at one time. I would be standing in absolutely thick woodland there. It would be so dark you couldn't see a thing. But there you are. Times change. History moves on. The iron industry is but a memory to many people. Something that happened in the past. Not a lot to show for it. But I am standing, once again, I am standing in history. And you didn't know that, did you? I am now in Pont's Green. Pont as in the French pont for bridge. Pont's Green. No street sign for that, of course, or village sign. Not that I found yet anyway. Oh, good morning to you, sirs. I don't know how this is going to come out. I'm filming directly into the sun now. It's time's moved on a bit. It's 25 past 6. And as well as the bird song, I've been seeing pheasant, rabbit, deer, geese. There's cows in the field. This is lovely, this is. I mean, you right for you. You're looking at this through a computer screen or on a TV screen. You can't smell it, but I tell you, it's gorgeous. I just said 2 people out running. But this is the Ashburnham Chapel. Strange looking sort of place, really. It's a non-denominational chapel. I don't know if this used to be the Roman Catholic Church. I don't think so. I believe there was a Roman Catholic Church around here. I have a little story to tell you about Harry H. Corbett. When he was going to get the OBE or MBE, whatever it was, rumour has it that they put his name down, put his nomination forward, and somebody said, oh, this can't be right, Harry H. Corbett. When the nomination went to the next stage, somebody had missed out the H, and Harry Corbett of Sooty and Sweet fame got nominated instead. Somebody, fortunately, from what I can gather, spotted the mistake, but by that time Harry Corbett had been notified, so they couldn't really do much about it. So in the end, both Harry Corbett and Harry H. Corbett got the honour. Only in England. This is really nice here. Many, many years since I've been here. And while I'm in this sort of remote part, when you look back down the road there, and then you look along there, you'd hardly believe there used to be a bus service along here. Saturdays only, run by Mason and District, service 128. Now, I can remember travelling on that service from Battle Hospital into Hastings and back. It ran Saturday afternoons only, and it would leave here, by the time I remember it, at about 1:15, but it didn't leave Hastings to come back until something like 6 o'clock. I've got a Mason and District timetable at home from 1956, and I had a quick look at it this morning before I come out. It shows the 128 service leaving Bexhill at about 1:20, coming out here, picking up, going into Hastings, getting there about 2:45, and not leaving Hastings until 7 o'clock to come back. The only thing I can think of is that it gave people time to go to an afternoon showing in the cinema, says my logic, which would have started about 3 o'clock, 3:15. Don't forget there was an A and a B film in those days, plus the interval, so about 3 hours. Yep, would have given you just time to go to the cinema, come back out and catch the bus home. Boy, they thought of everything in them days, didn't they? That's history for you. I'm not going to spend too long here, but I'm right at the top end of Ponce Green now. In the bus timetables, the terminal at Ponce Green was noted as recreation room. I honestly can't find any reference to it at the moment, but having said that, I did find a couple of years ago a photograph, and I've lost it now, which showed a telephone box there where that telephone pole is, and although there's a camper van in front of it now, I have a feeling that that is the old Ponce Green recreation room, and that this is in actual fact the point where the 128 service would come and turn round and then head back into battle. There must have been a little shop at one time, because I don't want to get too close. There's the old post office, and you can see the blanked out bit on the wall where obviously the letterbox would have been. This is the problem, you see, all these old houses now, they're so good to see, but with people living in them you don't want to intrude on their privacy. But I'm pretty sure, because when you look through there you can see that it obviously had been sort of tarted up and modernised at one time, and in the 1950s and 60s probably would have looked quite smart. But I'll put my money on that being the old Ponce Green recreation room, and this is the top end of Ponce Green. Pheasant in the distance, and look, there is the familiar looking cow of an oast house. It wasn't only the iron industry that was important at one time round here. This is hop growing country, or was. There you go, Ponce Green. You wouldn't know about these places, would you, unless I took you there? Way off the beaten track. Now this is a strange thing. There's a bus stop sign here. I don't know of any bus route that's ever come this way. Maybe it's one of the little village rider things. But, I am in Brown Bread Street. Yep, you heard it right, Brown Bread Street. Looking back across, well, towards Cow Beach, Rush Lake Green, that kind of area. And I'll just come back a little bit because I'm standing outside the Ash Tree Inn in Brown Bread Street, and this has always been a lovely place to come for a meal. I look at it with some sadness at the moment, because I heard last night that the three nearest pubs, White Horse at Bottle Street, Horseshoe Inn at Windmill Hill, and the Woolpack in Erskine Zoo, have all closed. And the closure of your pub, it absolutely rips the heart out of a village. Oh look, Mrs. Pheasant. A lot of pheasants around here. There you go. She don't look too scared, does she? They do look rather drab compared to the males though, don't they? Anyway, this is Brown Bread Street. There was a time when I should imagine it was quite busy here. There's a house that's just been sold. Bit of work to do on that, but What are you looking at there? Maybe late 17th, early 18th century. Alright, been modernised a bit since then, but it's certainly got an age to it. There was also a brewery here, I understand, at one time. Now, I have a feeling, although it's a house, private house now, that this building here, although they call it Horseshoe Cottage, I'm wondering if that might have had something to do with it. As you can see, it's quite an out of the way place here, Brown Bread Street. But it's very quiet. Sorry, Mr. Horse, I didn't mean to startle you. I do apologise. Hello, then. Hello. That's what he thinks of me. Oh, the smell. There we are, look. Brown Bread Street. Possibly an old brewery, a pub, old farmhouse of some kind. There's a couple of cottages further down, which I'm just about to go and have a look at. Yes, it was. I've just seen the name. I'm not gonna film it because it looks right into somebody's bedroom by the looks of it. But yes, the old brew house. So that was the brewery. Amazing what you're finding out. So I suppose pub to sell the beer, brewery to make the beer. Hops would have been grown in the fields up there. That oast house would have dried the hops and probably supplied the hops to the brewery to make your local beer. Oh boy, those were the days. Would that we had a lot more of that going on now. We need local stuff. Please buy local where you can. Support local farmers, support local shops, support local business. The least we have to import from abroad, the better, I think, to be honest. There now. That's an interesting row of cottages. I wonder what kind of vintage they are. I mean, they're not modern. On the other hand, they're not ancient, are they, as such? What would you say? My guess would be late 19th century, early 20th, at the very latest. There's somebody out there going to tell me I'm wrong, but what do I know? I like to guess. I'm relying on you lot looking at this to tell me where I'm wrong. We learn from each other. That's how it's done. Anyway, onwards and upwards. It's nearly time to finish my filming for this morning. And just one more place now to film, and I can go home for my breakfast. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little trip to Brown Bread Street. Really don't know what that bus stop's doing there. That's modern. That was never ever there years ago. And I've been through here many times from what, 1970s onwards. Although I must admit, this is probably the first time I've stood here in 40 years, to be honest. Used to come here many times before that. Used to come out to the ash tree for a drink, something to eat, but no, after about 1980, it just didn't happen anymore. but I'm glad to see the ash tree still here. Well, we're back in Ashburnham again now, or the other side of it, and down below me here is the Ashbourne once again, working its way down towards Wallishaven. I wish I could get into the Ashburnham estate, but you come down this end and there is another road entrance in, but guess what? It says no entry. So all I can do, and I can't really stay too long because people are beginning to get up and about and go to work and what have you. The Ashburnham estate spreads all the way along as far as you can see there to the hills at the other side, and it's all up on the hillside to the right of us. Now Ashburnham, as I said earlier, as well as Penhurst, are the only two places round here that were mentioned in the Domesday Book, and I think there were 24 settlements mentioned in Ashburnham. So we'll just wait, we'll keep this idiot slowed down. And there he goes. Yeah, this road is beginning to get quite busy. Anyway, I'll have to be as quick as I can, obviously. The Ashburnham family really got their name from a derivation of Ashbourne, and it became Ashburnham, and they started developing their estate in the 13th century. And the church has parts dating from the 12th century onwards, although the tower I think is 15th century. Now that's been the home of the Ashburnham family, this big Ashburnham place, house and everything up in there. And they held that until the lineage died out, and I think it was Lady Catherine somebody or other was the last of the line, and she died in 1953, and the estate passed into the hands of a grandson of one of the later earls in 1960, who then bequeathed it to the Ashburnham Christian Fellowship, or whatever it was in those days. And ever since then it's become a Christian centre, a retreat, and they do open up the estate. You can go and see the two big lakes that they've got there, and they have the Orangery Tea Room. Actually, it's perhaps a good thing that I haven't took you there to show you, because it encourages you as a place to go and visit. There's not much point in going where I've been and you've seen it already. Go and have a look at Ashburnham for yourself, because the gardens, they're another set of gardens that were laid down by the famous landscaper Capability Brown back in 1767. So there is plenty to see there, and some nice walks. So do go and visit if you get the chance. But for me today, it's coming up to what, I suppose 6:45ish, something like that. We've been down in the depths. We've been up on the hillsides a bit. I shall never forget this bridge. My late first wife Anita and I and the kids, we came out round this way for a drive round. I had an old Vauxhall Viva at the time, and we broke down just here. And it had a hair-raising journey back to Eastbourne on the end of a rope 3 foot behind my father-in-law's car. Didn't like that one little bit. Doesn't look very powerful now, does it, going through there? But you can imagine at one time this would have been much, much wider. And I think the valley here gives you an idea of how wide the Ashbourne would have been at one time, because I'm quite convinced that iron products would have had to leave Ashburnham in boats when they started, particularly when they started making cannon and that. And there would have been boats of a reasonable size, not huge ones obviously, but a reasonable size would have been able to get down here and down into Wallishaven and out into Pevensey Bay. Now, all right, they wouldn't have gone immediately to the harbour at Pevensey. But where Wallishaven, well, again, you see, we don't know, do we? The coastline has changed so much in years gone by, but I would have thought Norman's Bay would have been roughly where they would have come out, and then would just have sailed along the coast a little bit and into the harbour at Pevensey. That's my thinking anyway. But there you are. I've been watching a little blue tit in the distance. So with the calming sound of water and the sun rising in the hidden Sussex countryside, because it is hidden, and unless you knew it was here, you probably wouldn't even blink when you're driving round past it. So there's more places you didn't know, and I hope you've enjoyed your visit this morning. And I've got a date with a bowl of porridge and some blueberries and a nice cup of freshly ground coffee. I'll be seeing you.